All right, today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go over modes. So what are modes in music? To put it as simply as I possibly can, ladies and gentlemen, a mode is quite simply an attribute of a chord. In the same way that my friend wants to hook me up with this girl, but it's not enough that I know she's a girl. I need to know other stuff. I want to know about other attributes like how tall is she, how old is she, how smart is she, what she look like, In the same way that we look at chords, we look at modes to give us more detailed information about chords. We need more detailed information. Otherwise, we could just wind up in a very strange place. And the mode, that attribute, really does help to define the atmosphere, the quality, all those esoteric terms that people use to describe modes or mood that those particular modes convey. Let me give you an example. So normally we're all very familiar with major, the Ionian mode. I'm going to do this in concert C. If you've been studying music theory, you know that there's another major mode, which is Lydian. Sounds like this. Still major, but conveys a different type of mood. It has a different type of personality, different personality trait between those two scales. But listen to this one. Very unusual, but it is in fact a mode. So let's take a look at how we can derive modes. So I just recently put out a video on studying perfect fourths and perfect fifths. Studying perfect fourths is basically learning how to add flats. So by adding flats, you can basically derive all the modes of a major scale. Let's start with Lydian. You add a flat, which cancels the F sharp, giving you Ionian mode, C, no sharps, no flats. You add a flat, that gives you Mixolydian, add a flat to Dorian, and then to Aeolian, Phrygian, and Locrian. So you wind up with all your modes. Okay, the first way you should always think about what mode you should use is by listening to the melody. Sometimes in jazz, the key signature is pretty much just irrelevant. Often you will see something written with a key signature of C that's in a different key, like Giant Steps, for example, which is in the key of B, but you'll often see a C key signature. But you really want to listen to the contour of the melody to find out what modes are being injected in order to convey a certain kind of feel. Like, for example, hope I don't get flagged for doing this, but okay, so you can hear those altered notes in that super faint. You can create your own modes by breaking from the formula by which you flat notes. You can even sharp notes, but for simplicity's sake, let's start with C Ionian, your regular C scale that you're familiar with, and let's flat the second note. Let's flat the second note and let's raise the fourth note. Let's sharp that fourth note. Let's flat the second, sharp the four, and flat the sixth. Very unusual. and very bizarre. And the real magic comes when I start to build chords off of that scale. Let's see what happens. Let's keep it simple and start with triads. One of the things that we want to make absolutely certain that we do is to reinforce the sound of whatever mode we've chosen. And I'm going to pick Phrygian mode because it's this really dark and foreboding type of minor. I want to use notes inside that Phrygian scale to establish the mode, and then I want to be able to pick notes outside of the scale to reinforce the sound of Phrygian. And the way that you can do that with any mode, whether it be Ionian, your regular major, or Dorian minor, is to utilize the 5 chord that precedes it. So if we have our E Phrygian, we want some kind of B dominant 7. We can also use the flat 2 dominant 7. So we have the option of using the 5-7 or its tritone substitution, the flat 2 dominant 7. So in the case of an E Phrygian minor, we want some kind of B7, some kind of F7 that's going to draw our ear back into the sound of that E Phrygian. So let's take a look at the B7 chord. So obviously we need a B, we need a D sharp, and we need an A. All the notes in between, I'm going to pick from the E Phrygian scale. So I want to throw a C natural in there, a D natural if I can, an F natural, and a G natural in there. I want to stay away from an E natural. I want to reserve that one for when I land on that point of resolution. So I've substituted the E for the D sharp. All right, and we can do the same thing with F7. I want some kind of F7, so I need an F, A, and an E flat, the enharmonic equivalent of a D sharp. But in this case, we're going to call it an E flat. So I want a G, that's in the Phrygian scale. A, that's in the Phrygian scale. B, C, D, pretty much all the same notes. All I really did was take those same notes. I took the third from the B7 and I flipped it with the flat 7 of the F7. And vice versa. I took the third of the F7 and flipped it with the 7th of the B7. Okay, sounds like this. All right, so I want to take this E Phrygian scale and I want to balance it because rhythmically the scale is a little bit off. I want to add a chromatic passing tone. The original Phrygian scale sounds like this. I'm going to add a chromatic passing tone right between the flat 7th and the root. So I'm going to add a major 7th there. Sounds like this. When I think about using the dominant 7 chords that reinforce the sound of this Phrygian minor, I want to start those balanced scales on a different note because it's going to make everything flow in such a way that reinforces the sound of the minor. I'm going to actually start on that added note. right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for you. I do have some merchandise down in the merch bar. I got some mugs, I got some shirts, a little phone cover thing if you guys are interested in that. I have a lot of stuff coming up for you, and I am definitely looking forward to 2021 just like everybody else. So thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. See ya!